Today I'm going to show you how to turn the Owl Nebula from this to this, and this nice Dumbbell Nebula from this to this. Let's get started. Before we start, I would like to ask you to subscribe, like, comment, and maybe join my Patreon page or buy me a coffee to support this channel and the development of this script and many other scripts that will be in the future. Thank you. Let's start to process this Owl Nebula or Messier 97. Let's zoom in, and when you record this nebula, it tends to flatten out in the core, and there is no visible textures. They are there, but you have to refine them to pull them out. It's a bit harder for these kinds of nebulas because you want to stretch the outer ring of the nebula, and when you stretch the outer ring, of course everything in the nebula comes out and washes out the pixels. So we have this. So first you want to mask, of course. Enable luminosity mask, select region. Since this is a circle, I will press Alt and with the mouse create a region selection. Let me refine it a bit, like so, and like so. Okay, it's fine. The options are lights, level 1, target. We can see the mask, remove the ends, and one thing is missing, and that's the feather. So always check your mask. Let's feather it to 20. And this is fine. Remove the show mask preview, and let's start the slider fun. I didn't make any noise reduction on this image to see how well will it blend with the sliders when we are refining the core. So let's start. We are now having the mask selected, everything is in place, and what you want to do is lower the highlights like so, and click on this arrow and boost up the highlight recovery so it recovers the details. You can already see some details are coming out. Before, after, we already have a nice blend. Okay, now let's boost some saturation like so, maybe some additional vibrance. Cool. Okay, now let's play with the clarity to make it a bit more sharper. Ooh, I'm liking that. Let's turn this to 8 pixels clarity radius. So now you can play with the sliders and have fun with it. Don't get mad. It's already great. And when you zoom out, you can hardly see any artifacts that could appear when you're refining that manually. And this is a very natural look. And if you believe me, this edit is over. We can only extract even more and make it a bit extreme. If I boost the clarity, we can see even more texture. If I boost the texture, you can see now that you can fastly go beyond what's the limit of this signal. But as you can see also, we have this separation of this part and this part. That is good because that's the nebula texture, and we have these eyes of the owl that are visible. Also, we have 3 stars. This is recorded with AL Ultimate filter, so there are not so many stars, but I like this effect, and that's it. Easy peasy Japanesey. Let's now apply it and see the before after. And now let's see the before and after. Before, after. Before, after. Isn't she a beauty? As you can see also, there is noise in the nebula. Once we tone down the pixels, the noise comes out, but it's very nice blend with the background noise. And now you can apply the noise reduction with your favorite tool. I have applied noise exterminator, so you can maybe see the difference. That's after, before, after. It's a perfect blend now, and the nebula is looking great. All the texture is here. The alpha is maybe a bit yellow, but that's fine. We want to squeeze every pixel out of this nebula. I did publish this image on my Instagram and I think on my Astrobin. I don't remember anymore. It's very fun. So this is the first object done, and let's move to the M27. OMG, Messier 27. This nebula gave me headaches. It was very difficult to post-process this. I did record this nebula 2 years ago and I did publish the image, but I went beyond, above and beyond, not just beyond. So the problem with this nebula is it has a bright core and it tends to have very low brightness wings, because this nebula is a cocoon, and when you have enough hours, a butterfly comes out of that cocoon with those not bright wings. And we have problems when stretching this. This was stretched with multi-scale adaptive stretch, and I tend to preserve the core, but you can't. It's just too bright, but you want those wings. So let me show you how can you compensate this brightness via select region in the Lighthouse script. Let's begin with the mask. Enable luminosity mask and select a region. Let's make a circle, press Alt, like so. One thing with this nebula, the part that is bright is not in circle. You can see the shape of it here, but you can help yourself with show mask only and target number 3, level 3. Now you can see better the part that is very bright, and this is a bit darker. Let's now boost the feather 34, and now we have a bit of this part and this part, but originally we have this. This is a good mask. Remove the ants, remove the show mask, and we can now play with the sliders. Okay, again, Let's move the highlights slider. And let's boost the details. By the way, for some reason, when you go to additional tools, you can make some green removal and you will boost the red. Let me zoom some more. You can see the red alpha region in the nebula, and when you move out the greens out of the cyans, you will boost some of that. Okay, let's do some more. Okay, let's go before after. Lower it down, baby. Before after. Before after. Okay, if I boost it too much, this will go blue and this will still remain greenish or cyan. So let me back it up a bit. 25. It's already looking very nice. Look at this. We already toned down those tones, those bright tones. And what we want to do is tone down the tones that we can globally make adjustments. We will not process this core by itself. We will just tone it down so we can process the whole image when we have those pixels a little bit darker. This is already good. I can leave it as it is. We can only do a tiny saturation boost if we want. Maybe a bit less. But you get the gist of it. And that's what you want. You want to tone it down so we can make a global adjustments. Because the core is so bright, when you do some adjustments globally, it will mess up the core. And now when we made the core less bright, we can now make normal adjustments. Of course, you can lower it down not so far, so we can have some brightness, because this is the brightest part of the nebula. We want that transition from lightest part to the darkest part. We don't have to process it so that this part is the same brightness as the wings. That's a big no-no. So we can adjust it with the sliders to have some details, but to tone down the brightness. Let's say this is good enough. Apply it. Now we can see the before after. So before, after, before, after. Now let's move to the step 2. For the step 2, I will remove the stars, so this can be a bit easier. This is a very heavy nebula to process, so it will be easier without the stars. You can use StarNet. I use Star Exterminator and just remove those stars. Oh no! Look what we did! She's naked now! What a big blob here from the filter. L Ultimate filter tends to have halos across the blue stars. Something to have in mind, maybe? Okay, now we have the nebula. And now we can process it with the global adjustments. We can mask again, but why? We can just use the sliders now. Okay, let's do some highlights. Let's do some shadow boost, some contrast. We now don't have to worry about the bright core when we pull out the contrast, for example. Let me lower down the blacks. And we already have a nice looking Planetary Nebula with wings and all that. Maybe a touch of clarity. I don't know. You tell me. Let's remove some noise. Why the hell not? And we can boost. Okay, so for the saturation, we can boost saturation, but it will apply globally and it will boost saturation all over the place. The background as well, so we don't want to do that. Instead of that, I will not boost anything. I will make it darker. Let's see now. Just press Ctrl and see the background values. The background values are 0.20, 0.16, 0.29. And you can see it on the histogram. It's right over there. So we can darken it some more. Why not? Something is wrong. Sorry, I didn't press this. Let me back it up. Now we can count the... Okay, that's good enough. Before, after, before, after. It's looking nice, and the core is visible. Every little part of this core is now visible. Of course, with the bigger scope, this will be even more sharper because of the better resolution of the scope. It's a nice nebula, but it's a hard one when you have those wings. And that's it. We started with this and we ended like this. You can fine-tune it even more. This was a pretty fast edit, but you get the point. And the core is saved and it's full of textures and some fine details. Isn't that wonderful? Look at this. Before, after. Before, after. Very, very nice. Dear viewers, if you enjoyed this post-process of these two nebulas, a bit hard nebulas to process, especially those cores, I'll hope you'll subscribe. There will be much more of this content, and see you later. What can I say? Bye bye.